Happy Friday and welcome to our Boss Up Show presented by Hope TV. We are the House of Hope Atlanta. Our pastor is Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., and we believe that life with God is better in every way, every day. We also want to salute our business ministry under the leadership of Sabrina Wilburn and Derek Grissom for providing us with these amazing guests. Let's get started. Today we have none other than Dr. Felicia Phillips with us. She is a master business strategist and the CEO of PPICW Incorporated. Felicia has built her 30-year career on serving, educating, and mentoring small and diverse businesses. Dr. Phillips, we're honored to have you. Will you say hello to everyone?
Greetings, everyone, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us. In addition to Dr. Phillips, you know, on the Boss Up Show, we never disappoint you. We have none other than Mr. John Wilkins with us. He is the CEO of Wilkins Marketing Group, a boutique consulting firm specializing in investor relations and business development. Mr. Wilkins, will you say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
We're honored. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We want to welcome all of our viewers. Thank you for joining us on a Friday night. Listen, you could have tuned in anywhere you're with us, and we want to say thank you. So if you're watching this, will you share it on your social media platforms? Let all of your friends and your family know that we are teaching and that we are empowering people to boss up on a Friday night. So let's get to our questions. I want to start with you, Dr. Phillips. Did you choose entrepreneurship or did entrepreneurship choose you? How did you land this 30-year career? Talk to us.
Wow. And just hearing you say 30 years just blows my mind. I'll be honest, entrepreneurship is in my DNA. My father, my uncles were all entrepreneurs. And hey, I'm a daddy's girl, right? So I was there every step of the way and started my first business at the age of 19. And so I feel like entrepreneurship chose.
I want to take that question and ask you as well, Mr. Wilkins. Did entrepreneurship choose you or did you choose it?
Well, it definitely chose me. I was working in the corporate America for a while as a truck driver. I drove for one of the big corporations here in Atlanta for about 5 years and got a chance to meet my wife when I did. I think her enthusiasm actually paved the way for me to be an entrepreneur. Which I really love the fact that the things that she created, I helped enhance it from my perspective as a husband and a business partner. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time and looking forward to be more energetic to others that hears our mission.
Awesome. So I love this. Not only do I have two bosses on, but technically I have a power couple and a boss couple being represented and another boss in Dr. Phillips. So I want to ask you guys because your bios were absolutely exhaustive. I was thoroughly impressed with just your experience and your wealth of knowledge, and I couldn't read it all. So I want you guys to tell us, what is your specialty? What is your niche? What are you known for? And I want to start, since we left off with you, Mr. Wilkins. Tell us, what is your specialty as an entrepreneur business owner?
Well, I think in the beginning, you figure out what your specialty is and what you're good at. And I think I'm good with people, and people understands my demeanor when I talk with people, and they like what they hear, and they know that I'm very, very sincere. But we have three different businesses, and I tell everyone to stay hard in the business, work hard to get better, and most of all, surround yourself with great people.
So we're technically only a few minutes in. We're only a few moments into our broadcast, but I'm sure all of you are already gleaning some wisdom because Mr. Wilkins has already challenged us and said, listen, You're going to have to work hard, but you've got to be good with people if you're going to be a boss and be a successful entrepreneur. So thank you for that quick
Absolutely.
nugget. Dr.
Absolutely.
Phillip, talk to us. What is your
Yeah.
specialty? What is your niche?
So my niche is working with entrepreneurs anywhere from startup to micro enterprise to seasoned entrepreneurs. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And I've helped companies who have started from their kitchen table grow to be 7, 8 figure companies. But I do love educating and showing people how to use entrepreneurship as a tool to create generational wealth.
Excellent. So I want to talk a little bit about the events of this past weekend, because I think if you live in Atlanta, you cannot help but be impacted and affected by a lot of what we've been seeing with the protest in downtown Atlanta. So I want to ask both
Yes.
of you, have you been affected at all by the protest? And do you have a business that is located around the epicenter for this time of just standing up and letting our voices be heard? So, Mr. Wilkins, has the protest in downtown, or have the protest in downtown Atlanta affected your business at all?
Absolutely. We've the first night on Friday night, we encountered busted windows in the front of my salon, as well as the building, which is 300 Peachtree Street, has suffered major losses in the businesses that's in this building that share this building with us. The riots are very hard to deal with, especially when you got young people trying to embrace and try to get the community to understand where they're coming from and talk about racism. Uh, but I think at the end of the day, God has everything in hand. And I understand the young people, but I truly wish and encourage them to do it the right way and get their point across without being violent. But yes, we have been very affected by the riots here.
Yes, and I just appreciate you just sharing that word of wisdom. We do know by way of a lot of the news mediums that there are instigators who are among the protesters who are doing a lot of the damage to our businesses. But I just appreciate your wisdom and your perspective in saying, yes, we need our voices to be heard, but we definitely need to
Absolutely.
do it the right way. So thank you for sharing that. Dr.
Absolutely.
Phillips, we want to pivot to you. Have you been affected at all by the
Yes.
protest?
Absolutely. I believe whether you're in Atlanta or where here in these United States of America, you're being affected by what is happening with
Absolutely.
the emotions, right? People are emotional. People feel that systematic racism has come to a head. It's not just about the killing or the murder of one man, but it is an eruption of everything that people are feeling, and more specifically, Black people are feeling, right? Each and every day. And people want change. And sometimes when you're emotional, you're not always thinking properly, right? I think the bigger question is, where do we go from here? Because if we're going to create change and we want change, there are certain things that we have to do, and we have to be more strategic about it. Yes, I've been affected. I have the pleasure of serving. Most of my clients are Black business owners, and they are affected. It's hard to concentrate on your business when you're emotional, right? We're seeing what's happening every day online. And so getting them to refocus and retool in this new environment, I'm still having to gather our businesses together because of the pandemic. And now we are dealing with this. So, yeah, we have been affected.
Wow. I mean, you're so right. We do have to chart a path forward. I mean, it's amazing to see how people have unified and how we're making our voices heard. But now what's next? We do need to vote.
Right.
And not just on the
Yes.
national level, but we have to get involved in the local elections. I want to remind everyone that early voting has started. I know in my county, in DeKalb County, you can vote here at our church. So I love what you just shared. We got to find that pathway forward and what will be the result of our activism. I love it. You guys have already
Right.
started dropping some nuggets. So I want to pause
I
right
would
here to
like to
remind.
also add. I would
Oh,
like to
yes,
also add, if I
jump in.
can.
Yes,
Um,
jump in.
I, I come from a very popular sports family here in Atlanta. I've been
Yes,
in
we do.
this city 35 years. And when we moved from the projects in Baltimore, Maryland, uh, Atlanta took us as our new home. And they've done so
Mm,
much for us in Atlanta. So by me having a business downtown Atlanta, it is really a great nugget, extra nugget for me, for my family. So I want to give back like we should, the way Atlanta gave to us. So my information and my wisdom and the things I like to say to young people is that you got to appreciate what people do for you, especially when you're young, you're new, and trying to build your business and try to build your own network. And you have to give thanks and work hard. And that's what we did. And I love
absolutely.
Atlanta and I love what they've done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Great segue into what I was about to share, which is listen, if you are watching right now, if you're viewing us, we need you to invite all of your friends on Facebook, all of your followers on Instagram, invite them to watch this episode of Boss Up because we have some amazing entrepreneurs and business owners on here tonight who are giving us some tools to get through this pandemic. So please share, 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 share. I want to ask my next question about challenges. Because if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur or a successful business owner, every day is not going to be a good day. You're going to have some challenges. So I want to start with you, Dr. Phillips. I want to ask, what are the top three challenges that business owners face in the marketplace today, especially given the pandemic, but then also given the now civil unrest that we're engaged in? What are the greatest challenges
Yeah.
for you?
So I would say, not just in a pandemic, but for Black businesses, one of the biggest challenges is cash flow, right? We're challenged in getting resources when we're not those businesses who are receiving venture capital or even funding for our business. So we have to be more creative and how we find cash flow to put into our company so that we can invest in the things that we need. The other challenge that small businesses are facing in the marketplace today is competition. The competition, because of social media, because there are low entry points for marketing, can make a very competitive marketplace. So competition. And then the other thing is make the challenge that with a lot of small businesses is articulating their value proposition in the marketplace. Just not being clear about what is it that they do differently and why others should seek them out for their product or service.
Stop right here because we need that in the notes. We need that in the comments. Will you just take a moment to define two terms? First of all, venture capital. I
Yes,
want you to define that term for our audience so that they know what you're talking about.
absolutely. So let's use this for an example. How many of you may watch Shark Tank, right? Or you've seen pitch competitions for businesses. Well, a lot of times in those same arenas, you will find venture capitalists. These are people who are looking to invest in innovation, technology, that next big thing in the marketplace. But their money comes at a price, right? They're going to have terms for that money, whether that is they want equity in your business, they want to own a certain percentage. Looking at they're going, what are they for their money from a loan perspective. There are so many things that they may look as taking what it is that you bring to the table. But a venture capitalist will provide just money, but a lot of times they also provide you the platform that you may need to take that product or service level. So they may have relationships with manufacturers, distributors, with retail operations, and so forth. And that's pretty much on a high level what they do.
Love it. The second term that you used, and I'm going to just kind of share what I took away from it, had to do with articulating your profile or articulating what you as a business offer. Could you give us that term again? I loved it, and I want our audience
Yeah,
to hear it.
absolutely. So, and I'm going to even couple it with another term. What I spoke about is your value proposition, right? Your
Yes.
unique selling proposition. What that is you do better than anybody else, right? It is establishing your differentiator in the marketplace. We kind of skip over that sometimes, or we don't have the clarity to be able to say, hey, my 30 years of experience, or the fact that I've owned businesses in technology and logistics and different areas, positions me and gives me that unique selling proposition, otherwise known as your USP in the marketplace. And that's why you should work with me, right? So it's really showing where your value is, the culture that your company or organization possesses, and how that speaks to the marketplace. What does that mean to the customer and how it addresses their points?
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. I know that our viewers are getting empowered by what you're sharing. So now I want to bounce over to our brother on the team, Mr. Wilkins. Tell us, what are the three challenges that you face as an entrepreneur in this business climate and marketplace?
Well, for starters, I think one of the three challenges that you're going to have as a small business owner is having confidence and commitment. Number one, to stay in the fight. That's number one. If you in this business right now, the things that we're dealing with COVID, and as well as the rioting with this race situation that's going on around the world, we uh, we are, as a entrepreneur, it's hard to stay focused when you don't have business coming in the way it was. And two, I think Miss Felicia kind of said it best. Cash flow is very hard when you're an entrepreneur. I've been involved myself with major corporations such as NFL, NBA basketball teams purchases. I've brought companies together to try to manage and buy these companies, but we as entrepreneurs don't have the opportunity to bring that type of funding to the table, because 9 times out of 10 most of us are startup, and it's hard to get money for startups when you're an entrepreneur. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we struggle so hard to try to make things move and try to, you know, figure out which way we're going to go as the funds dry up, especially when you don't have customers. And I think the last thing for me in this environment, you have to have great people that's going to be behind you, that's going to motivate you, that's going to be there for you when you need good ideas, when you need to talk to them about what is the next step that they think we should take, and take their advice and move forward.
See, this is why I tell our viewers, you can't miss your Friday night boss up, because we share so much information on this boss up series that you can't get anywhere else. Most people have to pay for a ticket to get this kind of information. So I hope our viewers, I hope you're sharing this on all of your social media platforms, inviting all of your friends to come and watch Boss Up so that they can power through this pandemic. A couple of things I want to share so that we can have it in our notes. Mr. Wilkins said you have to have tenacity, cash flow, but then also a great team. I say this all the time. Your faith will get you through, but you also need some people with you, some people who can be your cheerleaders and your truth tellers. They'll tell you when you're doing great, but you also need some people to tell you when you are off. So I love your comments, Mr. Wilkins, about your team. I want to ask you guys two more questions because we're running out of time. It just seems like today's episode is flying by because you guys are sharing so much great information. So I want to ask you this. What advice would you give our audience when it comes to building a profitable business? And even in your answering that question, will you define profitability? Because that means different things to different people. So let's start with you, Mr. Wilkins. How would you advise our audience to build a profitable business?
Well, I think they have to start in the front end. When you start in a business, making sure that your overhead meets the need of your profitability. In other words, make sure that your overhead is affordable and thought out very strategically. And that way, you will have more opportunities for profitability when you started and work your hand in the beginning. Also, I think at the end of the day, profitability is going to come from how well you structure your business, your salon or car dealership or whatever, what have you, to make sure that all your products are being purchased at a reasonable price where you can make profit when you do sell.
I love it. I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs talk about the overhead. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that, and we will definitely
Yes.
put it in our comments for our viewers. Dr. Phillips, if you would share with us,
Yes.
what are the keys? What are the ingredients for a profitable business?
So here's one thing that you could do to build a profitable business. Focus on your existing customers. I say that because people tend to want to go out and find the new customers. And you have customers who've done business with you, they're comfortable with you, they trust you, they know you, they like you, right? Don't forget about them. Don't just leave them, go back to them. So that's one thing. The other thing that you can do, build leverage, use social media. It is a tool to build a profitable business, right? And people aren't using this because they're sure what platform clients or customers might be on, or if they're even on there at all. But you have to go in there and you have to build a platform to see if you can draw those customers to you, and it helps your message out there more effectively. And last but not least, if you want to build a profitable business, this is the one thing I'm going to encourage everybody to do, is to make sure you have a system and processes in place that track your money. You should have some type of accounting software where you can see and pull a profit and loss statement. When you can see where your profits are coming in, you can see how to stay in the black, right? Because that's what we want. When we're in the black, we know we're making profits. But if you're not tracking that money, if you're not seeing how the flow of money is happening and understanding the cycle of it, then you're unable to build a profitable business.
I love this. You need to be able to track your money and understand the cycle of your money. That's
Yeah.
patterns. That's recognizing the
Yeah.
trends in your money. Listen, if you missed tonight's Boss Up, I promise you, you missed some important information and valuable information to help you build a stronger business. We're at our final few questions. And so I want to ask you this because this is something that's been on my heart, and I'm sure it's on our viewers' hearts. Cultural trauma is hard. I believe that being Black in America is hard. Living through a pandemic is hard. So I want to ask you guys, because you're the gurus, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you centered in a season where there's so much negativity? Let's start with you, Dr. Phillips.
So what keeps entertained, number one. For me, I start the day early. Our phones, we keep them attached, right, or in our hands 97% of the time. I need time that I can spend with God where I'm distracted so that He can download my next strategy. And so I take the early morning to really focus on what I'm doing. Am I aligning with the plan that He has for me? And so clearing my head, clearing my thoughts of what is happening around me, because when you're emotional, when you're taking in everything from the pandemic, everything from the emotional outrage that is happening over the racism and things that are happening against Black America, it's hard to be a functioning CEO, right, of your business. It's hard, human. And so in order for force, I have to lean on my faith. That is not just praying, but I take a walk sometimes. I work long hours in my office. I will break, walk, clear to make sure I'm focusing on my clients and giving them the best service. And then making sure that I'm alive. My family is where they're part of that foundation that keeps me going. And so that allows me to keep my eye on the prize and clear about what it is that I want and what I want to achieve.
Absolutely. I think every entrepreneur can benefit from a centering practice. It sounds like your walks are your centering practice. They are what keep your mind stable and focused in a season where there's so many stimuli trying to grab for your attention. I love that. And so I want to ask you, for the brothers who may be watching, our male viewers who are saying, listen, this thing is hard. Mr. Wilkins, will you give us some advice from your perspective on how to remain centered and just how to get through this season in the life of our country?
Well, I think one of the things for me, the motivation I get for staying in the fight is two things: my son and my business partner that I've been in business with for 26 years, which is my wife. So you can imagine in the boardroom at home how difficult it can be as a CEO, making decisions with your spouse and your business partner. But at the end of the day, they depend on me. They depend on me being the man of the house, the man of finances, to make sure that we get what we supposed to have and taken care of as a entrepreneur and a father and a husband. And my son depends on me more than anything in the world. So as an entrepreneur, I have to take on that challenge and make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do on my end as a man and as a black man in this country, is to work harder than the next guy, because it's always going to be hard until we realize that if you don't work hard, it's going to always be a challenge being in this business and being a black man.
I love it. This is so powerful. If you're watching right now, we want you to put a reaction in the comments, put a clap, put a heart. You can put your hands raised, because I believe we've been empowered today during this episode of Boss Up. So I want to conclude by saying again, this is the Boss Up Show presented by Hope TV. We are the House of Hope Atlanta. Our pastor is Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., and we believe that life with God is better in every way, every day. So as we conclude, I want to start with you, Dr. Phillips. Share with us how we can find you, because I already know the lines are blowing up. People want to know how they can get you to mentor their small business. So tell us, how can we find you on social media?
Well, it's actually very easy. It's at I am, the letter IAM, Dr. Phillips on all social media platforms. And they can visit my web, LeishaPhillips.com.
Mr. Wilkins, we hate that we missed the other half of your power couple, but I know we'll probably have another opportunity, because I'm going to vote for part 2. So exactly. I hope I know we're going to have another opportunity to bring Mrs. Wilkins on so that we can hear from both of you together. But just share with us, how can we find you on social media?
Well, number one, my wife is the social media guru, but you can definitely find us on info@legendaryawards.com. That is the award show that we do every year, which this year would have been our 10th year anniversary. So we rescheduled for next year. You also can find us on social media at stylebaratl.com, where you can find out about our salon downtown. And you can also reach me at jwilkins@legendaryawards.com as well.
Excellent. Listen, I'm praying God's blessings upon both of your businesses, upon your areas, your workplaces, the neighborhoods where your businesses are located, praying for God's protection. Thank you, our viewers, for joining us for another episode of Boss Up. Listen, we still believe that life with God is better in every way and every day. And we pray that you have an amazing and blessed weekend.